won't make a man drink by himself, will you? No, you
No,
won't.
of
No,
course.
very
Yeah.
good man. You'll have your one yourself. Fair play.
Oh,
Yeah,
sure.
there you go. There we go.
Is that light okay? I know you didn't want it too.
Yeah, we just move along to the questions.
Space?
Yeah,
Okay,
thank you
okay.
very much. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Okay, so basically,
Yeah.
the question is, why is the world so fucked?
I suppose that's one of those kind of questions where, is there any really true answer to that kind of question? It's fucked for many reasons, and I don't think any one person's to blame. I think it's a series of historical fuck-ups from one to the next, and one leads on to the other. You know, is there going to be more fuck-ups? Probably. Is it going to get worse? Probably.
All right.
Yeah.
With that in mind, what do you think the point of life is?
I think if you always try and find out that answer, you're just going to end up chasing yourself in circles. I think it's just one of those things, you know, is there a meaning to life? Is there a reason we're here? Did you choose to be here? Did I choose to be here? I think it's one of those things where you just get up in the morning, you do what you got to do to keep the wolf from the door. Don't think there's any meaning to life. I think it's just one big merry-go-round, and eventually we're all going to have to get off.
Okay.
Why is my whiskey in a coffee cup?
I'm not really sure. I apologize for that. That's just what we happen to have for the day.
Okay.
How is it? Is that all right?
Canadian?
That's right.
It's all right for Canadian.
This is a pretty broad question, but what is wrong with people?
I think natural selection fell away a while ago. I think that needs to be a change, you know? But is there a difference of what's wrong with people, or is it just that's what's wrong with society, you know? Do we just bring up these people, or bring up groups of people that, you know, we have the people today, like look at the people that went to World War II. Everyone signed up, everyone went. Do that happen again today? Probably not. Is there all these things that's wrong with people? Probably. Can you trust people? Probably not. Would you be helpful if someone like you would be back in the day? Probably not.
How do you think that differs? So you think in the past people, they showed up as needed, and now we're just sort of...
I think everyone now just doesn't give a shit about anyone else. I think we all have our loved ones and our special friend groups, if that's what you want to call it. I think 9 times out of 10 you couldn't give a shit about a stranger.
Do you care about strangers?
No. Fuck them.
Fair enough. On the flip side, what is the best thing about people?
It's a good question. Frank, is it?
Yeah.
Frank, yeah. It's a good question. It is a good question, actually. I don't know. I suppose if you can get into that kind of group set where it's a community sense where, you know, we all look out for each other. But I think in the grand scheme of things, you can't be thinking global, or you can't be thinking nationwide. I think it has to be you and your community, close-knit, keeping it together, where you're helping each other. But when it becomes federal or becomes government, no one's there to help you. So I think you have to keep it where you keep your small group, your small community, and that's how you help each other. When it gets too big of a picture and there's too many people involved, everyone starts looking out for themselves. I think you need a good small group mentality. Help each other. Small community. You know, you got a small, you know, you got the lady who runs the bakery, the lady who runs the fucking butchers, you got the person who runs this and that. We got small little groups looking after each other. Small communities. When it gets too big, everyone's just out for themselves.
What? So, should you care about one town over, or just stick to your own?
Unless you're able to do things with that town, and that town is able to do things with you, and it both benefits each party, sure. If not, no. No. I think it's gone too big now where there's too many people and we're all just numbers. We're all just, no one knows anyone anymore. No one knows your neighbour. No one knows about who lives on your street or your block. I think it has to go back to small groups, small tribes, kind of clans.
All right. Can a man be fulfilled?
Yeah. Short answer, yeah. Long answer. I think if a man's got a reason to get up in the morning, to go to work, do his thing, you know, he's got a good woman at home, he's got children, he's got a reason, he is the provider, he needs that family, he needs that person special in his life, because otherwise than that, he's a man without a cause, and a man without a cause is just dangerous.
What's it like to kill a man?
That's a question asked by someone who's never had the horror or the joy of doing so himself. Your first time, scary. You know, you can see the soul leave the man, along with adrenaline pumping through your veins, creates a very, very warped sense in the mind. You do it the second time, you do it the third time. How many more times? You either get a taste for it, you love it, it becomes an art form, or you just crumble and enter into a dark corner where you're never able to come out of. You were never meant to take a life, and therefore by taking a life you've ruined your own life. So it can be either you become to enjoy it, you get a taste for it, or you're one of those that was never meant to take a life. And you yourself lose your own life in the process. Seeing someone's soul disappear in their own, when you watch their eyes, it's just an experience that I hope no one else experiences it, but if you do, just be careful that it leads you down two ways. You enjoy it, you get a taste for it, or it just takes you away into a dark corner and you never come back from.
What category would you say you fall into?
Strictly business. You know, take life, it's purely business by the end of the day. It's not for enjoyment, it's not through malice, it's not through, well, it's just something that has to be done for business.
Sounds like you got a taste for it.
More so I can kind of differentiate between, this is a human being, what am I doing taking a life? This is someone's soul leaving their body. More so, you got in the way of business, and you have to be taken care of. It's more so seen as this person is just a hurdle in the way of completing the business. Happens.
With that in mind, what do you think happens when we die?
It's been the great debate, hasn't it, Frank? Was it?
Yeah.
Been the great debate. I think throughout history, religion has become a construct. Does that answer the question? Probably not. Does it give people peace of mind? Perhaps. Does it justify religion? Probably not. Religion has just been, we've waged wars for thousands of years due to religion. Do I myself see religion? I can see how it gives people peace of mind, but I myself would not rely on religion to comfort me in my hour of need. But what happens to us after death? I don't know. I think for us is you have the idea of heaven, but maybe that is just when you die, you get a chemical release in the brain, you enter into this euphoric state, and you enter into a world. And that might be what heaven is, but it's also, do any of us know what happens to after death? What I will say is, I hope you go to a land of your forebears where this euphoric state brings you there and you can live in this dream until you get reincarnated, possibly. Do you come back again? Perhaps. Or do you just go into a deep sleep and on to the next one? I don't know. It's a great debate that has raged on forever. We'll see. Maybe in the next life you can ask me that same question and we can have a better answer.
Maybe.
Maybe.
And on the flip side, where do you think people are before they're born?
It's a good question. Maybe it is just like when we die, we end up back in the lounge or the waiting room, or we're just waiting for our number to be called again, and maybe that's what it is. Maybe we're just all going around in circles. Maybe that's what deja vu is. You get glimpses of your previous life. Something triggers an old memory. Maybe something of interest, and that is an indication of your previous life. Maybe. Maybe it's just you're just waiting around, waiting for your number to be called again. Maybe there is no explanation to it. Maybe it is just that's how the mind forms when it's young. The mind is so complex. These are the answers we try and give ourselves to make some sort of sense of it.
Thanks. What has life taught you?
What has life taught me? Through the good and the bad? Through the good and the bad, life has taught me that those close to you, you hold dear, hold steady and fast. Always look out for them. But to those you don't, refrain from those compulsory human emotions to give empathy, to give sympathy, to care, because chances are these people won't give it to you. So when crunch comes, you look after the ones. Other than that, hold back on all human emotions and just don't care.
Just treat them like straw dogs.
They don't know you, you don't know them, and chances are they'll send you down the river quite as easily.
Who's got the best rack?
I'd say just as a person, as one of those kind of people that through everything, through fame, money, has just grown as just where you're like, my goodness, what a woman, Dolly Parton. She's not one of these, scandal comes out, she's got a sweet rack, she's got a sweet personality. My God, what a woman.
Cheers.
To Miss Parton.
Now, we've covered this a little, but in this day and age, what pisses you off?
I think we've become soft. I think we've lost our values. I think things that used to hold us steady and fast through thick and thin, we've lost. Where once upon a time, you and your woman, you got a lovely house in your mid-20s, family going, everything's rocking and rolling, tickety-boo. To now, we've had a virus and showed that the slightest hiccup, the world will crumble. And I think, sorry, what was the question again?
What pisses you off in this day and age?
The fact that a man or a woman can't go out there, make a living, create a home, and build a life for themselves, where, whether it be venture capitalism, vulture funds, foreign investments, whatever it may be, that the young working man or woman, no matter how hard they work, if they do not reach a certain percentage of the population, they cannot happily live and work and play, and therefore creates all these miniature issues, and it just seems like the decay of modern society, to the point that we are 5, maybe 10 years away from where it becomes very ugly very quickly.
What would you like to see instead?
Probably I would say revolution. I do not trust the young people. I think they are very convoluted in the ideas that they are thinking, that it's only one basic idea that we need to change, and that is government. Full systematic rechange, full systematic implementation of actual people who will change for the better. Will that happen? No. Is there people out there that could happen? Yeah. Are they interested in politics? Will they enter politics? No. Will politics still be the same? More than likely. Where you're going to have the same systematic, where it's, you have government pretending to care, won't care. You have mass migration of undocumented coming into every country that is underneath the umbrella of Western society, and therefore very scared to see how young people are going to be in the next 10 to 15 years.
So the only way to go is get the folks who want at least to take over government, basically.
Yes and no. Do you ever think of the idea that we're at the end of the empire? We're at this stage now where we've been capitalist, Western capitalists, for the last 30, 40 years, 50 years, and it's reached its end game, where you look at the Roman Empire. It fell and then became the Roman Catholic Church, where all Roman wealth went into the Catholic Church. And you had, so maybe we're looking at, this is the end of capitalist Western society, where it's reached a point now where what really happens is just a full-on meltdown, where this is the crumbling, decaying days of the empire. What happens next? Who knows? Now we're entering the stage of modern technology with all the apps that come along with, where we're more connected yet far more distant than ever. And what happens next? Whose government follows? What ideology becomes paramount? Who knows? Is it going to be good? Probably not. Is it going to take a while for it to settle down and become functional, become useful? Hard to say. Has government been useful or helpful since? No. Are we fucked? Chances are yes. Is there people that are going to survive? Probably. Well, you have young people who can't afford to rent. You have people who can't afford to buy a home. You have people who can't even afford the basic amenities of modern life. What does that make them? How desperate do they become? Where do they go? Well, what do they do? Who do they take that anger out on? Who knows? Very dark times ahead. That's all I see.
Do you feel like there's a target on your back because you've been successful so far?
I've built a good group around me. I've built where those people around me know how loyal I've been. And they also know that if they step out of line, what happens to those people? So they don't need to, if they have to ask that question, they already know where they stand.
So you're feeling all right in terms of your own position?
I've made sure my position is sound. I've made sure there is no question of my authority. I've made sure that no matter what, my word is whole. If there's any questions about that, the questions will be answered. The person who asked that question will be removed. I have no qualms, queries, or concerns about my power. My power will remain whole. And there's people to implement that power who will not ask any questions.
That's why they call you the manager, I guess.
Among many, but the manager is the more, how would you say, you play by the rules, the manager will respond, the manager will be just, and the manager will be fair. You call me the manager, therefore you play by the rules, and if you play by the rules, you have nothing to worry about.
I hope I don't have anything to be worried about doing this interview.
Well, you were the one to conduct this interview, Frank, and Frank, if you've got any concerns, there is my concierge right here. If you have any questions, they'll be more than happy to answer those questions you have.
All right. I have a few more for you, though, if that's okay.
Have we got time? Okay, yeah, power ahead.
What do you know that children don't know? That maybe you could pass on to them.
I think keep it lighthearted. Keep it where I just like to tell children that if you believe going to college and getting a career and building towards this by also at the same time immersing yourself unholy amounts of debt in order to get this paper sheet that says you are qualified as such and such, is get that idea right out of your head as soon as possible. The best thing you can do is find out what you love in life, pursue it. Don't have any idea that you have to go to college or even finish school. If there's a trade you want to do, if there's a skill that you love, or there's an avocation you'd love to do, pursue it. Your parents may say you have to go to college, you have to do this, blah blah blah. They're living in the dark ages. They're in that mentality of you go to college, you get a great job, blah blah. Once upon a time, maybe. At this point in time, you should not be investing that much money into your college degree in order to get a paper receipt that tells you how great you are. What you should do is find what you like to do, go out and do it, pursue it.
Just to come in from a different angle, what might children know that adults don't?
Yeah. Sorry, what was the question again?
What might children know that adults don't?
Life is one big playground. You know it at a young age. You believe it at a young age. Somewhere along the line, we all forget it. life is a playground. You don't know how long you're here for. You don't know how long, what you're doing. You can chase your time creating a career. You can chase your time creating a perfect lifestyle. You don't know how long you're here. Don't know what you're here for. All I'd say is treat life like a playground. Go out there, do what makes you happy, have fun. Treat it like you are a child.
What do you think of God, and what, if there is a God, what does God want us to do?
You talking about a Christian God, a Buddhist God, or a Muslim God?
It's up to you.
Well, I wouldn't want to get into heaven off Christian God's terms. You know, he says nothing about slavery, he says nothing about child abuse, he says nothing about any of this. So why go to heaven on his terms? I have read the Quran, read it a few times. I don't immerse myself in it, therefore I cannot pass comments on what qualifies me as a true believer. Buddhism, I've met a monk from Bangkok to New Delhi. Even they don't seem too sure on their answer. Are they right? Are they wrong? Who's to say? I don't know. All I'll say is they seem content. They seem true in their believer. I don't think there's any change in that. Will religion change? Is religion become less significant? It is. Can we rely on God? Not in this day and age. Do these people seem like as if they want to continue their life devoting themselves to religion? If that's their jam, that's their jam. I think they're foolish. However, each to their own.
What will the world look like in 100 years?
I think it's a dangerous question. I think if you asked that 100 years ago, when you asked what it'd be like in 100 years' time, they had the ideology of flying cars and picturesque euphoria society. Has it been anything but? I think in 100 years' time, it's when it's the real decay, the collapse of society. I don't see a positive side for humanity in 100 years' time. I think there's a great war, maybe 2, possibly 3, in the next 20 to 50 years. It's going to be the real determination of society. I don't think it's good. I don't think we're heading in a good place. I don't think we're heading in the right direction. I think it's just, I think that's it. You got to start doing what you got to do for you and your group. Hone it down.
Tribes.
Even at that, water's gonna be limited. Food's gonna be limited. Yeah, I don't think in this time when you ask the question in 100 years, is it going to be euphoric, like your flying cars, your time machines? I think life was good then. Life seemed prosperous then. You ask the question now, I think it's going to be desolate.
How about in 1,000 years?
Probably won't be here. Probably won't be on Earth. You'll either have the elite who live on Mars, possibly, if that's to be believed, but I don't think it's going to be on earth.
What's the meaning of life? Thanks.
I think the meaning of life has always been the most complicated question you can ask someone. Have you yourself even got a true answer to what is supposed to be the meaning of life? I think it's, for me, personally, quite basic. And if you keep it basic, it keeps it easy, keeps your goals easy, is you find a woman or a man, whatever your tickles your fancy, that you want to invest, spend your life with, and you build a life around them. You get a house together, you get a family together, and yeah, you have the outside life, but all that matters to you is your woman and your family. Everything else is just a distraction. All that matters to you is raising your family. But raising them in this society, in these times, are you setting them to fail? Unless you yourself are born into wealth, born into money. What are you supposed to do? Yeah, you can love them, nurture them, treat them right, raise them right. But if they go into society with all the right tools, from a happy, loving home, and they realise there is nowhere for them to live, there is no jobs for them, what does that do to them?
Is there some way to find meaning in it, even with all this struggle?
That's only if you yourself, where you and your wife can keep the wool from the door, the roof on your head, and food in the fridge. If you can't do that, your children are going to struggle outside of the home. But if inside the home you can't create that, what are you going to do?
Would you do anything to make that a reality?
In which?
In order for your family and children to survive and thrive, would you do anything to make that happen?
I'm more so teaching my family that this is how you go and get it. This is how the world works. This is how brittle and decaying society is, where you more so need to have these certain traits about you, where you can turn off your remorse or your empathy and go get what you need when you need it, if times are bad. Where self-sufficiency becomes paramount.
That's been your reality so far?
More so, since a very young age, I have seen the worst side of the world, the worst side of society, where people can have these looks of we're all equal, we're all one, and we're all together, but that's just not the case.
Pretty harsh.
Unfortunately, the kumbaya, we are one, hold hands together, is just ideology that has long since passed.
But there's still hope as long as you have self-sufficiency.
As long as you have power and money. As long as you have power and money. Other than that, good luck to you.
Any tips on that?
Power and money? Be willing to end life. To get what you need, to get yourself in the position of power and money, be willing to end life.
does time work?
As in your day-to-day experience, or as in
No, what is time? What is the nature of time?
you're given an allocation of time. You yourself don't know how long your own personal allocation is. You got to realize that at a certain amount of time, you got to be tenacious in your approach. Understand what you need. Understand, if I get this, it gives me the power to go for this, and so on and so forth. So you need to find your starting block. Go get it. Don't let anyone stand in your way to get it. And then once you do get it, be tenacious in your use of the power.
Have you ever met Satan?
I think there's a Satan in all of us. I think you have to look in yourself in the mirror every morning and realize that the person you think you are is looking at you in the mirror, but they're really not. You gotta look beyond that, see Beelzebub, embrace it, find out how it can help you, use it in your way to get what you want.
That seems to have been your method.
People think Beelzebub is evil. Beelzebub can help you. Beelzebub can show you. Beelzebub has always been helpful to me.
In what way?
More so if you distract yourself from the ideas of we are all God's children, we are all one of many natures. No. If you need to remove some people from the equation to help your advance towards your own end goal, Beelzebub will help. And by that I mean that if you can put away the sins of killing another or removing others, usually results in the actions you want.
Seems to have worked out for you.
For the most part, it also relies on loyal subjects to carry out your intentions. For the most part.
How do you find those?
Which?
Loyal subjects.
Just like any loyal pooch, mug, fucking hounds, whatever it may be. You show them the stick sometimes. You show them who the master is. You correct them when needs be, but you find the right people. You find the right chemistry of people. Those who are able to disdain from human emotions, who can carry out your, how would you say, your orders. You find those right people who have the same outlook as yourself, but recognize the fact that they are humble soldiers. Then your actions become, or your words become actions, and your actions become tangible. Therefore, quite easy to achieve what you need to achieve.
What's the most frightening thing you've ever seen?
We were collecting a parcel, shall we say, in Bagram. It was myself, 4 of my own personal hired consiglieres, shall we say, We had two SBS guys who were being paid under the books. We were at a simple shipment, simple 100-mile journey to the border. I had to be there to sign off with the consigliere on the next stage. And we had driving down this highway, middle of buttfuck nowhere. It was all going fine, as a schedule as should be. And a woman and her child marched onto the road. We had stopped 50, 100 yards, possibly, from them. And the woman handed the child something. We didn't know what it was. And we asked one of my own personal guys, have a look down range, see if they saw anything malice or suspicious. And he saw a Russian propelled grenade in the child's pocket. We steadfast. I asked the SBS guys, in your own professional opinion, how do we proceed? They had said that this seems like it's an intentional ambush, very crudely done. Seemed weird how 100 or so yards out we could see it. And next thing of all, a school bus shows up on the far side, gunning towards us. Also, lots of children. SBS guy looks down range, sees it's all children, stops the tyres, shoots out the tyres, all well and good. Still about 20, 30 yards out. SBS guy goes down range, enters the bus. Notice the whole bus is rigged to go. It communicates the fact all got to go. Next thing of all, bus just goes up. And then the child, who's 20, 30, 40 yards our side with his mother, decides to start charging the convoy. The only command I could give was to put the child down. He had the full intention of charging straight into the convoy and blowing us all to smithereens. So the option was either we go down or he goes down. Logical answer with this kid, he's got an explosive device, he's come towards us, he gets put down. Put down he was. We lost two guys. I think we could have lost a lot more. I don't hold any remorse for that decision. I have no sleepless nights, and I stand by that decision.
Just business.
We had 3.6 million worth of equipment in that convoy, and he was holding a 200 grand Russian grenade propelled missile. Simple choice.
Just crunch the numbers.
Simply business.
All right. Do you know of any techniques to become immortal?
Mainly a rumour. Especially when you go to these highbrow fucking people who've got more money than sense. And they've been accumulating all these witchcraft and voodoo bollocksology where they think it prolongs life. There's been many things, but I think the only way to prolong life is, I don't even know, so I think it's more so a case of I think you can try as much as you want, spend as much money as you want. When your time is called, your time is called. Like that's just it. I think there's no one on this earth who can prolong your life. I think when your time is called, your card is number is called, that is it. You see people who have chased their life going after Shangri-La or Una Mestre de Rete in old Babylon, trying to find the fountain of life or the fountain of youth. And you had conquistadores who've chased their life through the Amazon. Like maybe, perhaps, maybe they've been right, and there is such a thing out there. But for me, I think it's just a case of you go after it, you do your whole life's pursuit, conquer the world. And when you die, you just die, and just accept the fact that when you die, you die. Don't think of this like Genghis Khan, Alexander the Great mentality of conquering the world. Just home cement your own ideas. Even your kids, fuck them. Just make yourself this whole empire. And then when you die, who gives a fuck about the empire? You're dead. You're already gone. Just create the most fucking abstinence fucking, die hard regime you can. When you die, you die. Who cares? You don't give a shit. Who cares about your own ideas? If you die, you die. If something else comes better along, who cares? Just, when you're alive, be tenacious and just do whatever you want. Because you won't even remember it when it fucking all goes to shit and crumbles.
Explain eternity.
Explain what?
Eternity.
As in?
What is eternity?
I think eternity is one of these things of people think it's the same ideology of I find someone young, we get married, we have kids, we find a home, fuck it. Or those where I have to go to college and I have to get a degree and do all bollocks. I think it's more so the way the world's going is the main thing is finding someone you're compatible with, getting a place together, but at the same time the world is crumbling around us, so you're going to have to find someone who you can get on with, but is going to have your back when shit turns south. Like, are you going to have to be the steadfast home carer where you look after your partner, or is your partner going to have your back as well? I think. What was the question again?
Explain eternity.
I think eternity is just fuck. Like, how do you answer that kind of fucking question? I think eternity is just one of those things where maybe it's the same ideology where you might have had king and kingdoms or governments, prime ministers. Maybe that's the whole thing, is strip it all down, start again. But eternity? Like, fuck, what are you supposed to do in that time? I think eternity is one of those things where you can say, like, I meet you again and we'll find each other and we'll live together in eternity. I think eternity is just a term used for those who are afraid to give up or afraid that their time on life is just done.
It's like too much to handle for most people.
I think it's just, that's it. When you start asking these kind of questions, that you've wasted your own time on earth and you're scrambling for reasons to begin, or struggling for reasons to justify your presence here on earth.
So you think there's nothing after?
Yeah. It's all just go off into the ether. All done.
With that in mind, do you regret killing people?
As I said, simply business. Simply business.
When you think about those were human beings, and now there's nothing after they're dead, and you end their lives.
Strictly business. I have no remorse. That exactly what it is. Purely business.
What do you see for yourself in the future?
More so exactly the same. I manipulate the market, see where it's going, see where I can make money, see where there's a gap. And that's me.
All right. Well, I think we've gone over our time, and I really appreciate you sticking around. So I'm going to let you go.
All right.
And
Thanks,
we're gonna
Frank, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Frank.
Yeah, Frank Harvey. Good to meet you.
Yeah, you too, Frank. Thank you.
We're going to clear out of here. Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Thanks.
we'll
Yeah.
get the girls in here. It's all good.
Yeah.